welcome everybody to the New Zealand version of the Global Power Platform Bootcamp. This is the third year in a row that we are running this event, and I'm really glad that we're doing it this year, although the theme is going to be slightly different than previous years. With Omicron going on and cases skyrocketing with COVID, we made the decision to actually have it as a virtual event. We were going to have it in person, but unfortunately that didn't plan out. So let's get started. All right. So this event is part of one of 75 cities in the world of 43 countries that are running the Power Platform Bootcamp this year. I was blown away to see sort of the number of cities that are actually participating this year, and also the number of new cities that are doing it for the first time. We can see that it's sort of taking place all across the globe. They even have an Arabic version running in Saudi Arabia, which means a lot to me because I'm from the Middle East. So to see that it has such a big sort of impact on sort of the communities across the world is really amazing. We do have a little blurb from Microsoft at the end of this presentation of the introduction that just talks about sort of how excited Microsoft is as well to be running that. So given that this is a virtual format, what I'm going to do is, reinvent the way we're presenting. So what you guys are going to see next, hopefully you can multitask and have multiple windows on your screen, or you can grab your phone or your iPad or whatever device you've got around you, and then sort of head over to slido.com and then put in the number, which is today's date, the 1902. So I'll give you guys a minute to do that. It's a new way of actually interacting with the virtual audience to get a little bit of feedback from people that are sort of behind that screen, behind that camera, and can just tell us, some information about them so that we know our audience a little bit better. It's one of the things that sort of we've been working on recently. Then people can basically sort of break that barrier between sort of being away from each other, not having that physical interaction with the rest of the team. So hopefully you've been to slido.com and then you've entered at the top 1902. What you should be able to see is just a screen saying that there are no sessions running right now. So it will say no active polls running. But then the moment I go to my next slide, hopefully you guys will see a question. So going to the next slide, and this one is asking whether this is the first time that you're attending the Global Power Platform Bootcamp. Oh, so we do have people getting in there for the first time, which is really good. I'm actually in the way. I'm just going to, oops, go in there. All right. So we've got 12 responses so far, which is a good number of responses. And quite a few are doing it for the first time. So welcome for those that are here for the first time. Hopefully you guys are will enjoy this experience and will get the most out of it. All right, we'll give it just another few seconds. Okay, so the next question that I've got is, where are you joining us from? So I'm really keen to understand whether you guys are all coming from New Zealand or whether you're from Australia or from somewhere in Asia or anywhere else in the world. So Asia would include Southeast Asia, India, and all the Asian countries. All right, so it's interesting to see that there are people that are coming from beyond our sort of usual borders and trying to sort of connect with us. So people that are sort of putting other, it will be really nice if at the end of the session there is a survey. If you can just drop us a note and tell us where did you join us from, or even if you want to put it in the chat, I would be really interested to see which countries are joining us, because this is one of the things that we're getting out of the COVID situation and the virtual presentations, is that people are not joining us just from New Zealand, but then we've got people coming from overseas. So it looks like we've got one Australian and one from the others. Hello to the Australians. A couple of Australians maybe. All right, moving on to the next slide. I would like to understand a little bit about what you do for a living. So what is your profession? Understanding whether you're more on the consultancy vendor side, are you a customer using sort of the Power Platform, Canvas apps, or any of the other features that we'll be presenting today, or whether you're learning about this new technology. And it's great to see that we've got some learners in there, because this whole bootcamp is exactly for you guys. The amount of demand is insane to the Power Platform. There's quite a lot of sort of people asking, recruiters asking for people. The market is so hot, where people are being poached from all the different vendors, even from the customers, and then sort of asking for those very, very rare skills. And I must say, like, looking at my career, I started as a .NET developer, and by pure luck, I ended up doing Dynamics 365, Dynamics CRM 365, and now the Power Platform. And I think I'm very lucky to have sort of been provided with such a career path, because this is actually proving to be quite a good and successful career path for me. And I'm in a good position to be sort of preaching that to other people and telling them, hey, if you're on another camp, join us, because this platform is really hot and it's fun to play with if you're interested in that technology. All right, so next question, and that's going to be the last question, is if you have used the Power Platform, what is your preference? Do you use model-driven apps? Do you use Canvas apps? Do you use portals? Or I've never used it, I'm learning. This is something that I'm getting up to speed with. Awesome. All right, so we see that model-driven is no surprise. We've got a lot of people that have that CRM background, and model-driven is really easy to use. So a lot of people prefer that because it's drag and drop, and you don't have to worry about pixel perfect drawing and all of that. Canvas is definitely emerging and becoming more and more prominent. And I think there's what they call the convergent app. So model-driven and Canvas are now turning into sort of the same environment. But it's interesting to see that there is 20% of the people that have never used the platform before. This means that you guys are learning about this technology, and again, this is a good place to be. And that sort of sets the scene to the rest of the sessions during the day. So my session, which is right after this one, I'll be talking a little bit about what is Dataverse, the foundation of the entire Power Platform. And for people that have never used it before, that will be a really useful session to have. Whereas to people that are seasoned and have been using it for a while, it might sound trivial, but there will be some sort of new features that I'll be announcing coming out in the Power Platform and Dataverse specifically. All right, so enough about all the questions. Now I know my audience a little bit better. Hopefully you guys know who else is in the audience as well. So we've got that interaction going. So the next topic is the topic of the day. So today we're going to be talking about COVID. Not really. The reason why I have COVID in here is because I just wanted you guys to know that the theme of today's Power Platform is COVID. So we've learned a lot over the last couple of years about working remotely, about what does it mean when we've got a pandemic. And COVID has hit everybody around the globe. So either from a professional perspective, because now you have to change your working environment, your you don't go to work necessarily, you probably work from home, or there's a balance between those. If you do work from home, there are precautions that you have to take. It has affected everybody, and not just at a professional level, but also on a personal level. Unfortunately, there's been many deaths around the world due to COVID. I know I've got some family members that got affected and passed away because of this disease. And now, especially with Omicron, it's going wild. Most our governments are actually looking at changing the way they're dealing with it. So before, especially in New Zealand, it was more around stay at home. Whenever there's an outbreak, just lock down. self-isolate, and so on. Whereas it looks like as Omicron is taking its course, the government is changing tacks and going, well, we can't lock down forever. It looks like, now that everybody is vaccinated, we're going to be sort of ready to just go back to normal. Some people might get sick, but hopefully, we'll be able to keep on top of it. And on a personal level, just last week, my daughter, who's 2 years old, she goes to preschool, and they sent us a note from preschool saying that they're going to be closed for the next 10 days because there was someone who tested positive. So as a result, my daughter is now a close contact. So we had to take her to get sort of COVID tested, and it's not a pleasant experience. A little girl who's 2 years old, and they're, sticking something up her nose and having to wait in those queues and having to deal with it, not understanding, like a bit of fear and anxiety, not knowing how to deal with it, and so on. So what we're going to talk about today is how is Microsoft and the Power Platform going to help in that space? So looking at a few stats, Omicron obviously is sort of taking over. So this is the number of cases since April 2020. And as you can see now that Omicron is in the community, numbers have shot up. We've never seen that before in New Zealand. The government has been quite good in controlling it, whereas I think now they're just accepting reality. We've got more than 2,000 cases. I think last time I checked yesterday night was 1,947, and I'm pretty sure this morning it has sort of surpassed the 2,000 cases per day. And then the number of deaths has increased as well. So there were a few death cases sort of in the first wave that came in around sort of the April timeframe 2020, whereas now sort of closer to late last year and early this year, we're seeing the number of deaths sort of increasing. So what is Microsoft doing in that space to deal with this? First of all, the first thing that we saw is that fight between Teams and Zooms. So Microsoft is promoting Zoom, and then there's another company from the US also promoting Zoom. Microsoft's promoting Teams, and there's two camps. Which one are you in? And then, are you used to Teams? Are you used to Zoom? Obviously, we're in the Microsoft space, and then Team is, fit for purpose for us, and it's doing the job. So that's why we prefer to use Team. But anyway, there's a different type of race that is happening around the world. Increased demand for any type of video conferencing, increased demand for processing power, working from home, laptops, and so on. And just internet bandwidth is becoming very important. So, after that, Microsoft started looking at how the Power Platform can help in that space. So if you've heard of the Return to Work app, so this in the picture in here is April Dunman. She's one of the sort of most active advocates of the Power Platform. If you look her up on YouTube, you will see some of her sessions just talking about just the Power Platform in general, getting you up to speed with it, training material, and so on. Tons and tons of information around there. And she talks about the Return to Work template. So Microsoft provides an out-of-the-box template that will help employees go back to work and manage sort of that transition. So again, we can see where the Power Platform is actually having a bit of a footprint in this whole pandemic. On a more general note, sort of for Microsoft and the Power Platform, they're actually using machine learning and Azure Data Lake storage to actually analyze masses of information related to COVID, so that they can find out, specific traits, they can find patterns, and they can better understand how they can sort of fight it, either from a medical perspective to find all the different variations and mutations, and also to find the vaccine for it. But then, Azure itself has a lot of sort of COVID-ready sort of infrastructure, be it from a data perspective, data set perspective, or all the infrastructure that you need to actually start using it. And then moving forward more on the local space, we've seen a lot of government departments, me being in Wellington and the majority of the speakers being in Wellington, we deal with sort of the government departments, and we know what products they're using. A lot of them are using Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, Canvas apps, portals, to sort of deal with their businesses. And a couple of examples that come to the top of my head is the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment and the Department of Internal Affairs. So both of them are using sort of those platforms. MBIE specifically related to COVID. So I think we've got some speakers on the call today that might sort of talk a little bit about their experience. I don't know what is under NDA and what is not, so I don't want to reveal too much about sort of what's under the hood. I might be sort of breaching some privacy messages, but the speakers later can just talk a little bit about sort of what they've been sort of working on related to COVID with any of those ministries. Cool. So with 10 minutes to go, I just have a few slides left, and then we'll get ready for the next session. So the next one is presenting the speakers that we've got for today. So I'm going to disappear myself. And as you can see, we're going to start the day with myself. So I'm doing the introduction as well as the first session around Dataverse. And then very quickly after that, we've got a session that will go on what's new in the Power Platform. This session is going to be presented by Marianne, Eliza, and Kasun. Marianne and Eliza are Wellington-based, and Kasun is from Auckland. Marianne is what I call an MVP. It's not the MVP that we know about. The MVP is the most valuable Filipina, whereas Eliza is an MVP. A traditional Microsoft valuable professional in business applications, and so is Kasun. So they'll be talking about sort of the what's new, what is coming up in the latest release notes, and how is that going to sort of affect the rest of us. Following that, Lynn is going to be talking about Canvas apps, and again, how he used Canvas apps in the sort of context of COVID and how we can use that. Lynn is an MVP in business applications from Wellington. Following that is going to be after lunch, I believe, AK, also Wellington-based, MVP in business applications, and he's been working with the Ministry of Business, Employment and Innovation, and he is a portal expert, so he'll talk a little bit about his portal expertise and how it can be used in the sort of COVID space. Following that, Auckland-based, who's on the call right now, Hamish Shield, MVP in business applications. Hamish is an expert in sort of engaging with customers and giving them the exact product that they are after. So he's going to share his expertise about how best to approach a customer and how to sort of give them the most based on understanding their requirements and then designing something that is 100% fit for purpose. And then as we get towards the sort of end of the session, at the end of the day, Anu from Wellington, she is an MVP in artificial intelligence, in AI, but also she's very strong in the data and analytics space. She's going to be talking about how to manage your data, exporting it from Dataverse, and then pushing it into something like Azure Data Lake or Delta Lake, which is a new feature that is being introduced by Microsoft. And last but not least, our regional director, so I should have put RD next to his title rather than just MVP, Reza Rad, an expert in the data platform and very, very experienced in that space. They run a lot of training sessions, him and Layla. And he's going to be talking to us about Power BI and how to become an expert in the Power BI space. So the next couple of slides are more videos. So I'm going to stop my video for now, and I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I don't forget to switch on the sound. And hopefully you guys can see the screen now. And I'm going to play a couple of videos from Charles Lamana, and we will see what they think about the Power Platform Bootcamp.
Welcome and greetings to the more than 60 Power Platform Bootcamps taking place on every continent. It's great to see first-time Power Platform Bootcamps led by students in several different countries as part of the program. I'm excited for everybody to experience the unique combination of professionals, students, citizen developers, and data scientists in the sessions they're offering and streaming all day on the 18th across every single time zone. It's wonderful to see the community in action, all focused on helping each other connect and grow as a single community with a shared passion for the Power Platform. Thank you to the producers of the overall event and all local user groups, leaders, and bootcamp producers and participants. All of you are volunteers that are helping put on an epic set of learning events for our community to go help people learn more and get better with the Power Platform. Be sure to continue these conversations after the events in the Power Platform online communities, available at aka.ms/communityrocks. I just want to take this moment to say thank you again to everybody that's participating. I look forward to hearing how the event goes. Have a good one.
Awesome. So this was the first video, and the second video is by Arun.
Hey folks, my name is Arun Ulag, and I'm so excited to be here. I lead the Intelligence Platform Engineering team for Microsoft. That's data integration with Azure Data Factory, big data analytics with Synapse, messaging with Service Bus and Event Hub, and Power BI. I wanted to welcome all of the community members around the globe for taking time to attend this week's Global Power Platform Bootcamps. It's exciting to see that nearly 3,000 people are attending 60 bootcamps this week, all around the globe, pretty much in every time zone. This is an incredible time to come together to foster and continue the journey that we're learning. Working with the community members is one of the best parts of my job. I love interacting with all of you. Your passion, your ideas, and your voice is what helps us build great products. It's a fantastic way for all of our engineers, product and designers here at Microsoft to learn, generate new ideas, and hold ourselves accountable to serving you. The sessions this week are from the community, for the community, and hosted on the Power Platform itself. And I wanted to say thanks to the organizers, user groups, and MVPs from each city around the globe who have taken time to build the agendas, host the events, and share your knowledge. I hope all of you have a fantastic bootcamp, and remember to continue the conversation in the Power Platform and Power BI community at aka.ms/communityrocks. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so that brings us to the end. Again, if you guys are keen to just fill in the information, oops, I lost the screen. But that's okay. So feel free to fill in the survey. Give us some feedback throughout the entire day. We'll be really keen to hear a little bit from you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, we'll sit back and relax 5 minutes, and then we will start the next session. Feel free to jump in and out whenever you have time. You know, we don't expect you to stay for the entire event. But then, you know, those sessions are recorded. So if you're interested in watching them, they will be available at a later stage. Thank you very much, and talk to you in a few minutes.